it kind of leads me to think about a conversation that I was having with a couple of other UFO researchers in the past month about the possibility of what kind of energy these craft are using and the effects it has on the environment of wherever it's landing. Like, I heard a story of a man who had a farm, and he'd have craft land near his farm. Often he'd see them. They'd actually mess with or mutilate his cattle. But when they'd be appearing, he'd also have strange paranormal activity start happening in his house. He'd have like poltergeists and stuff, and then whenever they'd leave, this kind of energy residue would stay around for a few days, and then it'd go back to normal, which I find very interesting. Those kind of connections. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, the energy that I've seen on board craft, they've called it a few things. One of them is they've called it living light. They've called it AGLE before, and it's normally a deep golden color that I've seen, and it is life energy. And when I say that, it's the same as prana, chi, orgone. It's all the same, but it's some type of a creator consciousness that they've been able to polarize and use as energy, and it's in a light form. That I can say, and I've seen that. I can only speak, Chris, for the craft I've been on board. Okay, but that's something I've seen being used by several engines. One of the engines I've seen, it looked like what's called now a buckyball or a like a gyrosphere,
Yeah.
and it had and it made me kind of go into the honeycomb conjecture. Why do the bees use that hexagon to store energy? And this is way before this is what happened to me. Then again, when I was a teenager, I saw this, man. So it's something that it never went away. But now I know that what that is one form. Where sometimes you see these cubes that are on these craft also, and it becomes, if you're dealing really truly with beings from another universe, entities from another universe that are coming through, okay, that you're dealing with, not just another galaxy, not just Pleiades, from another universe. And this universe is built on the spin, is based on the spin, all the way from our basic atoms, all the way to the galaxies are on the spin and the spiral. That's one of the main ways this universe is formed. So a different universe, what if they're using something like the square is based on the cube or the pyramid or amorphous metals or something like that? So then they have to come through a pattern of unfoldment to deal with us here. Okay. And what shapes can they use that could transfer this like life energy, this living light from one universe to the other? These cubes are one. The other one I just described, this buckyball that was in this type of I called it an engine, but the truth is I think it's more of a brain in reality, brain energy source. And that's also why a lot of these craft, a lot of us have been on, you may have been involved in this too, that the crew themselves are giving a symbiotic connection with like their prana and their energy to actually power the ship. So they're not just crew members, they're not just navigators, they're power sources. You know what I mean? It's fascinating. And space itself, it's all just not what we're thinking. I had to re-understand exactly what I was seeing when they're saying that this engine was grown over a black hole. That led me to dealing with a gentleman by the name of Rudy Shields had taken an interest in my experiences, and we started communicating quite a bit. And he especially had taken interest in the other universal aspect of what I was kind of dealing with, But he has a new black hole theory, and that's based on all the data collected from the observatories that he dealt with. And he calls them MACOs, magnetically eternally collapsing objects, and how actually the MACO is inside of the black hole itself, but that's a mechanism that actually stores the information, and how actually all the information of the universe wraps around what looks like the accretion disk, but it actually wraps around that MACO. And that is what we would call the Akashic Records. That's the record of space and time. We've heard that so often, Akashic Records. I mean, everybody is accessing it now and teaching other people to do it and yada, yada. But truly, what is it? So really, these black holes are the hard drives of the universe. They're not just, they're not just these holes that suck everything in, like the movie when I was a kid, the black hole, everything sucks into it and crushes it. And that made, so a lot of what we've heard about them theoretically is not true compared to the data, and that's important, very important. So these Makos is something completely different. And when dealing with, like, especially if you have a civilization, Chris, that might not even exist anymore, they can still exist within that Mako, the Akashic Records, and able to communicate with us through our brains. And that's heavy. And our brains, quickly, there's something in these black holes. What's been shown is that they operate more similar to the way our mirror neurons do. Okay, and mirror neurons are, we've got these fibers that make up our entire body. Oh Lord, what's the name of it now? Anyway, they make up our entire body, but they make up our brain, and then they construct microtubules. Microtubules, and the brain microtubules occur two ways: concentrically or helical. Okay, and that's this universe. All right, so they respond to conscious waves, and there's conscious waves. Brain waves, like mirror waves, mirror neurons, is the way these black holes are functioning. And when I say that, and I talk about the copy that's made, what they call the quantum hologram, also, everything that goes through the black hole or goes into it is actually the copies made on the surface of it. That's that Akashic Records. That's the quantum hologram. That's all that. So that's kind of where that's coming from. So that way, the way black holes will be able to be accessed is consciously. You wouldn't think that brain science would in any way connect to how black holes function. What? But that's what the data is showing. And mirror neurons is me talking to you now, talking to the people. They're able to see the experiences that I'm talking about. That's what the mirror neuron network does. It's also connected to the grab reflex deal, but also that's how these black holes are hard drives of the universe.